So a lot of people have commented on the images of ice crystals that form on my windshield in the winter here in Santa Fe, and it's what type of structure evolves is really a function of the temperature and the humidity, and that's not fixed. That really has a gradient. There's a change in temperature that also impacts what kind of structures emerge in the ice. I have about 24 different physical geometric structures of ice. The really dense ice with many different types are common when it's very dry, ironically, very arid conditions, but extremely cold, below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise, I have seen things that I can't help, but when I was in the semiconductor industry, measuring the atomic bonding structure of layers of material that were deposited just a few atoms thick, they don't all just lay down and make a beautiful planar layer. That takes temperature to get things to settle in and so forth. But I see the same thing in the way these ice crystals, the nucleation and growth of ice crystals also tends to have islands that coalesce into larger planar structures. But at the perimeter of those islands, there's a branching structure that can be broadleaf or pine tree-like, just these dendritic branches that seem to reach out and then make contact with another adjacent island. But then, remarkably, they wind up being very smooth and planar, at least to the unaided eye. So it's really something that reminds me exactly of what we were doing with something that's called MOCVD, metal organic chemical vapor deposition. So it's a technique, a tool designed to be able to deposit like atomic monolayers of material on silicon substrates in the device manufacturing process. And it's the same kind of thing where you get islands to form. Now, this isn't the way you want your film. You'd want it all to be planar and not have any voids. And what happens in this MOCVD is I embarked on a series of paintings where my painting, acrylic and oil painting, started to come off of the canvas and three-dimensionally into the space. So I began combining organic and metallic elements the same way that I was focused for years on developing this technique to solve problems in semiconductor manufacturing, to develop new materials to meet these stringent performance metrics, but also to have a way to express myself, like being very, very totally consumed with this MOCVD process. I was also using it in art to make these metal organic 3D. It's actually, it's canvas art, but it's really when I started to get more into sculpture. So I started to come into the space with those. And that's when I was living in Austin. So all of that was really a tremendous growth period for me, and a way that I felt I was also sort of true to myself, because what I did for my profession and what I did in my avocation, my artistic pursuits, it was clearly now coming from a unified vision.